The sound that changed everything was not the crack of wood or the shout of men, but the low, broken whine of a dog who had learned loyalty the hard way. It cut through the quiet river mourning like a blade, and in that instant, the air itself seemed to freeze. The river house stood peaceful and sunlit, but violence had already stepped onto its porch, certain that no one was ready for what was coming next. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet strength of those who protect what they love, take a moment right now to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this matter because they remind us who we can be when it counts. The river house had never been about wealth. It was a modest place, weathered by time and softened by memories, sitting where the water curved gently like it was pausing to rest. For Daniel Mercer, it was the last piece of a life he had rebuilt from scratch. Years earlier, everything else had been stripped away in a messy collapse that left him wary of people and deeply protective of what remained. The river, the house, and a German shepherd named Atlas were the only things that felt solid anymore. Atlas had come into his life broken, ribs showing through dull fur, eyes cautious but searching. Daniel understood that look. They healed together, step by step, learning how to trust silence again. Trouble had arrived slowly, disguised as paperwork and friendly smiles. A group of men from a nearby development had decided that Daniel's river house stood in the way of something profitable. They wanted the land, and they wanted it cheap. When polite offers failed, pressure followed. Letters turned threatening. Strangers began appearing near the dock, lingering longer than necessary. Daniel felt it in his bones, the way the air grows heavy before a storm. He reinforced the fences, installed cameras, and trusted Atlas to sense what he could not see. The dog never barked without reason. That had been proven too many times. The morning it happened, Daniel was away in town, handling the kind of errands that could not be postponed. Atlas stayed behind, resting on the porch where the sun warmed the wood and the river reflected the sky like glass. The men arrived without hesitation, confident in numbers and cruelty. They did not come to talk. They came to send a message. To them, Atlas was just an obstacle, a living alarm they believed could be silenced. The sound of boots on wood, the raised arm, the sudden violence that followed, all unfolded with brutal certainty. Atlas did not fight back the way they expected. He shielded the porch, his body absorbing pain meant for something larger than himself. His loyalty was not loud or dramatic. It was quiet and devastating. What they did not know was that Daniel had been ready long before that morning. Years earlier, life had taught him the cost of being unprepared. He had learned to document everything, to anticipate escalation, to protect himself within the law and beyond assumptions. Cameras hidden in plain sight recorded every movement, every face, every act. Neighbors along the river had been quietly warned, not with fear but with honesty. A retired ranger upriver. A nurse across the bend. A mechanic with a fast boat downstream. Daniel had built something stronger than walls. He had built awareness. When he returned and saw Atlas lying still on the porch, something inside him cracked open and then hardened into resolve. He did not scream. He did not panic. He knelt, hands steady despite the storm in his chest, and checked the signs of life he had learned to recognize during long nights nursing Atlas back from old injuries. The dog's chest rose shallowly. His eyes flickered. Alive. That was enough. Daniel moved with purpose, calling for help, triggering systems already in place, letting the river community do what it always did when one of its own was threatened. Boats cut across the water like arrows. Sirens echoed where silence once ruled. As Atlas was rushed to safety, the men returned, believing fear would finish what violence had started. They found something else waiting for them. Evidence does not shout. It simply exists, undeniable and patient. The cameras had captured everything, from the first step onto the porch to the last raised arm. Neighbors had seen faces, license plates, patterns of behavior that told a story too clear to ignore. The river, usually a witness to quiet lives, had become a mirror reflecting truth back at those who tried to hide from it. Daniel stood on the dock as authorities arrived, the weight of the moment pressing into his shoulders. He did not feel victorious. He felt tired, shaken, and fiercely grateful that preparation had turned helplessness into protection. Atlas survived, though the healing would take time. Each day, Daniel sat beside him, feeling the steady return of strength, understanding that courage is not always loud. Sometimes it is simply refusing to give up when cruelty expects you to. The river house did not change after that, not in the ways that matter. The boards still creaked. The wind still carried the smell of water and earth. But something deeper had shifted. Word traveled fast along the river, not as gossip but as warning. This place was not undefended. This man was not alone. And that dog was not just a dog. He was a symbol of loyalty that could not be bought, scared away, or beaten into silence. Daniel often thought about how close he had come to losing everything again. The fear lingered, but it no longer controlled him. Instead, it sharpened his appreciation for small moments. Atlas learning to walk without pain. The sun setting behind the trees. Neighbors waving as they passed by boat, no words needed. The men who had tried to take the house faced consequences that could not be negotiated or ignored. Justice, like the river, moved steadily forward. If this story is touching something deep inside you, if it reminds you of a time you stood up for someone who could not stand for themselves, please take a moment near the end of this video to like it, share it, and let others feel what you are feeling now. Your engagement helps these stories reach the hearts that need them most. Just before this story ends, we have one special request. Please comment below with a single word that describes what loyalty means to you. Your words matter more than you think. In the end, the river house remained where it had always been, grounded and unyielding. Atlas returned to the porch, older, wiser, still watchful. Daniel understood that being ready did not mean expecting the worst every day. It meant building something strong enough to withstand it. And as the river flowed on, carrying the echoes of what had happened, one truth stayed behind, carved into memory as deeply as any scar. Love protected is stronger than fear, and loyalty, once earned, will stand its ground no matter who comes to take it.